We are here with Andre the Bull Harrison, fresh off his World Series of Fighting championship, the new champ in the featherweight division at the World Series of Fighting. And thanks a lot, Andre, for spending a couple of minutes with MMA Long Island Magazine.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
So we'll go right into it. You fought against Lance Palmer uh, on March 18th, and you're the new champ. So just tell us about your mindset going into the fight, and everything just leading up to what was, another, potential championship for yourself.
Um, well, getting ready to go out into the fight, to fight Lance. I felt like I had better stand up than he did. So I knew if I hurt him early on, he would go and start diving in for takedowns and stuff like that. And so I just kept saying and rehearsing to myself, that first takedown attempt for him will be the fight for me. Because the more I could stuff his takedowns, the more frustrated and flustered he's going to get. And ultimately make the fight that much easier for myself.
Well, we also have to congratulate you, by the way. I did not do that before. That first takedown in the first round obviously was a big, big thing for you.
Yeah.
You're 16-0, which is basically, March Madness is right now, Sweet 16. It's amazing to have a perfect record. Do you think about your record at all, or do you just go fight by fight?
Never, ever, ever think about my record. I just think about performance to performance. So I look at my last performance and I think about, what I did wrong or even things that I did well, and, look to change them, build on the things that I did right and change the things that I did wrong. Least mistakes made, the better the performance is going to be on my behalf, and so that's what I just look at to do.
Was this fight against Lance Palmer and your second fight in the World Series of Fighting to date the biggest fight you've had?
I would say so, yeah. This was the biggest fight of my career.
Before we get into the excitement and the jubilation after you won, of course, wrapping that belt around your waist, let's talk about the fight. I know that we talked about it early, about that first takedown, but how did this fight in terms of, that debut in the World Series of Fighting where you got that submission, I believe, in the second round, was this something that you knew in the back of your mind it might go all 5 rounds because of your cardio and you both are wrestlers?
Um, I never really compared this to my first fight, only because it's two completely different people, styles, everything. And ultimately, going into the fight, I thought Lance's wrestling would be a lot better than it was. And so I did think that at some point in time he'd be in on my legs and I'd be fighting off takedowns and he'd be going. I know he loves his guillotine. I like certain chokes from that front head position as well. So I figured I would go for that. I know I would be throwing hard strikes and be looking to take him out there too. So to answer your question, I did not know if it would be finished early on or if it would go all 5 rounds. So the best thing that I could have done was to make sure that I was ready to go, 5 hard rounds, and that's what I did.
Well, you said after the fight, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but you could have went 10 if need be. That brings me to my next question. You're a gym rat. You've been with us before talking to us. How was training going into the fight? You had just fought on New Year's Eve at the Garden in your debut, so you had about 3.5 months to get ready for this fight. Was training, on par and everything was good?
Oh yeah, I had an excellent training camp for this fight. I brought in some wrestlers, Jamel Hudson, John Massa. Gregor is always here. That's one of my main training partners, Greg Gillespie, and so I had some really good wrestling work. Matt Cully, we grappled, a couple mornings out the week. Joe Scarola would meet with me. We'd grapple a couple mornings out the week, and so I just felt like everything was just where it needed to be for me to go out there and be successful in this fight.
Did you have any nerves coming into this fight? Yeah, I know you fought 15 times before professionally, but for the title and a new organization on national TV, any nerves?
No, and that was a scary thing too because I didn't have any nerves. It just felt like it was just another day for me, and people can say what they want to say, but you're going in to fight another professional fighter. You're gonna have some kind of a feeling, and I had nothing at
Wow.
all. And so I was a little nervous about that. I was like, man, is there something going on that I'm not really too familiar about or something? But I guess I would, inside I was just really that confident in myself and, my coaches and, training camp.
Talking about a coaches, any advice that you got from all of your training partners and coaches, taking on Palmer, and anything that, sunk in with you more than other, pieces of advice?
Oh yeah, the overall, which would summarize what everybody was saying is that, you know, the only area that he can possibly compete with you in would be wrestling, and that's the only area. He was like, "Who's to say you're not a better wrestler than him too?" And that's all he has, and that's just one makeup of the fight. You're a better striker. You're better in jiu-jitsu. You're just an overall better mixed martial artist. So he should not be able to compete with you in a mixed martial arts competition.
We talked about it before, but were you surprised? I know you answered it, but were you surprised by, not a lot of takedown attempts by Palmer, knowing that they kept saying, at least on television, and you knew it, the Ohio State, such a big time wrestler, but you mentioned it before, first round, you stuffed them. Were you surprised he didn't go for it later in the rounds?
No, because I think he was thrown off a little bit about certain angles. I saw a couple times he switched his feet, and wanted to go for a shot, but it's just the distance and the range and the angles were just off for him to take his shot. And had he a shot, he could have possibly found himself in some trouble. And so I'm not surprised that he didn't shoot as much as he felt comfortable on. And looking back at all the people that Lance fought, I'm the best wrestler that he's fought. So he didn't really know how to handle that.
It came out after the fight, he said, and showed an x-ray at least on Twitter, that he broke his hand in the first round.
Yeah.
Did you notice anything different after the first round that could tell you, or, Keith, that maybe his hand was broken or he was injured?
No, not at all. I wish I did know, but it didn't, and I'm not even entirely sure if it was in fact the first round or
Right.
when it, broke, because he was still swinging left hands
Right.
the entire fight. So it's not to say that it was a halt and why he couldn't throw left hands or why he couldn't hold on, because in the fifth round when he got dropped with the left hook, he was in on a single leg and he held on tightly. You
Right.
can legitimately see myself pushing off of his hips and trying to drag my hips back, and he held on tightly. So it didn't affect your grip. It didn't affect you throwing a punch with that hand, but it's the reason why you lost the fight.
Yeah, it's a little.
Makes sense. So at the end of the day, it's a little frustrating because it's like, yo, listen, if you would have been better off saying that, tonight wasn't my night, and I'll be back better than ever.
Right.
Be like that. Lose with grace. Don't sit up there and say, "Oh, the reason why I lost is because of it." That doesn't look good on you.
Well, let's get to the fun part. When you guys were next to the referee in the middle of the decagon, and you both were holding hands, and they were about to announce, from the judges who won the fight, what was going through your mind? You had 5 rounds. Did you think you had won? Did you have any idea what went through your mind when you were standing there waiting, for the announcer to read off the judge's scorecard?
I was there and I was thinking. I said, I won the first round because I dropped him. I won the second round. I dropped him and landed some good ground and pound. Third and fourth round could have gone either way, only because it wasn't very action packed. So whoever was pushing forward for the most part of the round probably would have won. But fifth round, I dropped him again too, and I cut him real bad. And so I knew I won 3 rounds to 2 at the very, very least. And so in my head, I kept saying to myself, 3 organizations, 3 titles. 3 organizations, 3 titles. And sure enough, Ray Sefo was putting the belt around my waist.
That's got to be an amazing feeling, and a lot of the reason, of course, why you've been very successful is your coach and trainer, Keith Tremble, and they even mentioned it during your interview on NBC Sports Network about the tough love that they were showing him, talking to you in between rounds, and we see it with John Vellante as well. Tell us about that quote-unquote tough love, and just about how you go about training with him, and you're smiling, but it seems it doesn't really bother you as much as other people might get affected by it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want a crew of yes men around me. I don't want a crew of people who think and believe that I'm, the man, or I'm a finished product, and I could do, you know, no wrong. I don't really want that around me. You know, if I'm having a bad session, I need somebody who's not gonna sugarcoat it and tell me, listen, you're having a bad session. If I came late a couple times and I'm messing up, I need somebody that's gonna really get on me and tell me, listen, you're messing up. You need to change this. Otherwise, this could happen. You know, and he is that person and then some. You know, we've been together for a little over 6 years now, and we have a great relationship. I would do absolutely nothing to change it.
Right.
You know, and I'm happy he is the way he is. You know, we need more people like him, actually, in my opinion.
What's next for Andre Harrison? We sat down with you back in October before that fight that was supposed to happen, that super fight against Julian Lane. We hadn't announced your signing at that point with the World Series of Fighting, but we sat down with you then, and you told us that your goal was to win a championship in every organization that you are in. We sit here now, and you have 3 championships in 3 different organizations: Ring of Combat, Titan FC, and now WSOF. Now that you are the champion in the featherweight division in the World Series of Fighting, what is next for Andre Harrison? Obviously defending it, but you know, what's the mindset?
Defended a couple more times. I want to clear out the division. When I fought in Titan, they legitimately had to bring people in to fight me at a point in time because there's just no other contenders left. I would like for something like that to happen here now.
Okay. Let's talk about Andre Harrison, the person, for people to get to know you. You're going to have a big feature in the next edition of MMA Long Island Magazine, the May-June edition. We know that you're a father. Tell us about your daughter and just what she means to you and how she's helped you along the way, and what, you know, I'm sure she's a driving force between, you know, for every day of your journey.
Yeah, she's a great kid, crazy imagination. But it was just funny. We were hanging out a little bit, and she was sitting up there. We were all watching some of my previous fights, and she goes, "Oh, I know how this one ends. Daddy wins because Daddy always wins." So like that is like I'm trying to keep that embedded in her head. Like no matter what happens, you don't have to worry. Daddy's gonna win. You know, and so far I've made good on that. I'd like to keep making good on that. So, you know.
Yep.
She's something.
Well, we had you in the first edition for the in the clinch feature, and I asked you about one of your partners here at Belmore and one of your good friends, Randy Brown, and I asked you who would win in a fight, and you said, "quote, I don't lose." So there you go. You back it up once again. You didn't even answer it directly. Just plain and simple, you don't lose.
Yeah.
Well, 16-0 definitely proves that. 16-0, no joke. You've collected belts now in 3 different organizations. What drives you? What drives you to just keep doing this and have this unblemished record, and, you know, clearing out divisions and, you know, everything about your MMA journey? Is it your daughter? Is it that 0 at the end? I know you don't think about the record, but what drives Andre Harrison?
My daughter's definitely a big portion in it, but my coaches, my teammates, you know, this definitely feels like family here. So when I go out there, it doesn't feel like, you know, I'm just there competing. You know, I feel like everything that he's entrusted in me all the time, you know. Again, 6 years, I'm here every single day. For 6 years, that's a lot of time invested in somebody. You know, and we've had our share of good days and bad days, and I want to make good and show him that he didn't waste that 6 years on me. You know, I'm saying that's with all my coaches, you know, my teammates. Out of all the smaller guys in the gym, you know, me, Gregor, Nick, Cody, I have the most fights, and so I have the most experience, and so, you know, so to speak, like, you know, I'd like to think that I'm one of the leaders here, and so if that's the case, I need to, you know, go out there and perform like one. So I can't sit up there and have, you know, one of the amateurs come up to me and be like, "Hey, Dre, how you do this, do that?" And then I don't do it. You
Right.
know, that's hypocritical. So, you know, if I tell them this is how you keep your cardio good, I need to be doing that. If I tell them this is how you become strong, I need to be doing that. You know, so.
Well, I mean, it's working. Whatever, you know, all those motivational, you know, that it's definitely working. You mentioned you're here all the time. You raise your daughter. You work here. You train here. How do you have the time for all this?
It's 24 hours in a day. I don't really sleep so much, which is probably the worst part of my training. But you know, hang out with my daughter early on, and then, you know, come here, work, train later.
Next question, and this is your prototypical job interview question, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. I'm 28 now. I'll be 33. I'm not sure. Probably ending off my MMA career. Maybe.
Or defending something even bigger?
Maybe defending something bigger. Who knows? But yeah. If I'm still fighting, I'll be in a good place fighting.
Right.
If not, I'll be maybe a part owner of a gym, or teaching and coaching and stuff like that.
Well, that brings me to my next question. If you weren't an MMA fighter right now, at 28, what would you be doing? Any thoughts? Seems like a no.
Because I've invested every part of my brain into, this is what I want to do, this is what I need to do, that I've never given myself the opportunity to think that I had another option.
Right.
So I couldn't say what I would be doing right now.
After a fight, just like after the fight on March 18th, do you take time off to kind of collect yourself and heal up? You didn't take too much damage in that 5-round fight, but do you take time off?
A couple days. I'll probably be back training again tomorrow. They were making fun of me because they were like, legit, like today I didn't really know what to do. Like I was just like, all right. I went to go eat my meals. I was like, I probably should have something with a little extra grease in it, and I'm just so routine. It's just,
Right.
I don't.
Creature of habit.
Oh yeah.
Last question. Is Andre Harrison going to be a household name by the end of 2017?
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That you can guarantee, yeah.
When we spoke last time, you said that you wanted to win a belt in every division, and now we asked you that question, and there's such confidence in your answer. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Well, you've got 3 belts in 3 different organizations. It only took you 2 fights in the World Series of Fighting. Congratulations once again on your unbelievable performance on March 18th at Turning Stone against Lance Palmer. I didn't even think it was that close. You say you probably won 3 rounds to 2, but from an outsider, you were honestly as good as I've seen anybody look in a 5-round fight.
Thank you.
So once again, MMA Long Island Magazine thanks you. Continued success, and spoiler alert, Andre Harrison will be on the cover of the next edition, May-June, of MMA Long Island Magazine with a featured article. So we'll be looking forward to that. And again, thanks so much, and congratulations, Andre.
Thank you.